Now join us for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so to have a chat about all things women's national team over the last few weeks is Louise Quinn, well known to anyone who follows the sport across the county. And of course, a former player in the Women's National League herself, winning the league with Peamount United back in the early seasons. It's been a bit of a journey since then. She's been to Sweden, she's been to Italy, she's been in the numerous places across the UK. And you might even have forgotten about one or two spots as well. You've been globetrotting so much over the last decade. But Louise Quinn, you're absolutely very welcome to the Women's National League podcast here on finalwhistle.ie.
Very nice. Thanks for having me, lads.
You're more than welcome. We've been trying to have kind of some of the more established international players on over the last few months since we've been doing the show, but it's proven very difficult to get availability and to get with your schedules and stuff. But first of all, I suppose, how have the last few weeks been for you personally? It's been a really, really momentous thing for Ireland to finish second in the group and get into this playoff qualification process for the World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's just been really, really special, to be honest. It was hard to describe in moments. I think it was just even getting, having the struggles that we did for the Euros to then kind of, go above and beyond kind of, I suppose, what we wanted to in a World Cup as well. I think, we're all quite understanding of how difficult it is to qualify to get out of the European stages. And so to kind of in that group where obviously, such a top team like Sweden, a massively up and coming team like Finland, and then a team that, which I feel its ranking doesn't prove the quality of the team that it is, Slovakia, and obviously Georgia. Still, we had very good results against them, but they actually had some very good results against all those other, not winning results, but they made it out kind of tougher than than maybe our games went, but they were still a team to be kind of very, very careful of. So I think for us to get where we've gotten now, it's a little bit dreamy, but that's the thing. It's still ongoing. We can still do so much more, and to kind of finally kind of reach those expectations, even just of ourselves, not of the the kind of external factors and external media and people and fans. I think we really needed this for ourselves.
Louise, you talk about the last campaign, like it must have been hard to pick yourself up off the floor, especially with the result in Ukraine. You're going there after beating them in Tala, the results are going your way. I think the two games that probably stand out in that group was Ukraine away and Greece away. It must have been hard for a lot of players to pick themselves up, because we thought we were almost there for the last Euros.
Yeah, it was in stages. I remember that Greece game really, it kind of really broke me a little bit. I really felt the effects of that game. I just, even at the stage, you maybe don't know how much of a hiccup it might be, but it just a defeat like that, or sorry, I'm saying a defeat. It felt like a defeat, a draw, to kind of give it away in such a late stage of the game was devastating. And I think we were still able to. That's football, that's sport. You have to pick yourself up, and then it kind of came down to this one game, and I think it was pressures that we hadn't really felt before. As a team, maybe a little bit as individuals, but as a team, we hadn't really faced that. And I think there was maybe that little bit of nerves behind it, inexperience, with that group of players. It was almost kind of, we almost didn't talk about how important the game was, I think. And I think to kind of get it out and express how you're feeling, if you're nervous, if you're anxious about what's going on, if you're, just how you're feeling, I think was really important for us. So it did that, again, after that Ukraine game, really, really difficult, probably, the lowest point of my international career, and it was only so recent. But I think as soon as we had our break, we were able to get kind of back on track, have and then we openly spoke about how tough that was then. And then we pretty much scheduled some of the hardest games of our careers as well, against some top opponents, higher seeds. As we know, it was 6-7 losses in a row. But I think it was then we learned so much about that. We learned kind of in ways how to lose, how to close off opponents, how to keep scorelines down against better opponents, how to attack, how to score goals. And there was just so much taken from that. And I think we all just grew as players. We knew kind of some of the things we did wrong, and we're only human, and that's going to happen. And you get put in these situations, and it just kind of feels like we've come over that in a big way. We still have a long way to go. We have no doubt about it. But again, for us to kind of get to this stage, we're incredibly proud of ourselves as a team, and how we've just gotten even closer as a squad is something special.
Most people try and do a crossword some days of the week. Trying to solve out exactly what happens now for Ireland's women's national team is a little bit of a puzzle for a lot of people. It's very complicated. Can you break down what exactly is required now for Ireland to get to that World Cup?
Yeah, so obviously now there are 2 playoff games in October. We've managed to skip the first stage of it. So there's 2 games on the 6th and the 11th of October. So we will play our game on the 11th of October, either versus Austria or Scotland. And then obviously there's the other group games going on. So even in that little pool of nine teams that got a best second, we get into the top 3 of those 9 teams, which then essentially mean we skipped 1 game. And then resulting in that, so whoever we play out of Austria, Scotland, if we win that game, let's say we win that game, and then Switzerland and Iceland, who are ranked above us in that little top 3, if they also win their game, their 1 game that they have, that's when we'll have to go to New Zealand and play in the next kind of sort of round of playoffs against other continents, your South America, your Asia, all kind of one of the African teams as well. So, and then the way to skip that and hopefully just win our 1 game and go straight to the World Cup is if your Switzerland or Iceland lose, if one of them teams lose their games, because we'll take their ranking. So out of this little pool of 3, the top 2, if they win their game, they go through. So very complicated. Everyone has tried. I don't know if I've simplified that in any way. It's all logical in my head. I can see it, but sometimes explaining it can be very difficult. But yeah, listen, that's something that's kind of out of our hands. Something that we can't, we've just again got to go on and win our game, and then just kind of see what happens, see if luck is on our side. But first and foremost, win our game, and at least minimum get to New Zealand in February.
I remember Breifne, just even when the final whistle went in Tala for the Finland game, us in the press box are already starting to work out what do Ireland need to get this advance into the second round. And you're watching it go by as the weekend goes on. You're watching your teams do as a favourite. You're sort of like, okay, nice. And then even for you, Louise, what was it like then in Slovakia? There must have still been some nerves because of the fact that you knew it was in your hands again.
Like yes and no. Obviously, again, you want to do the best that you can. I think that kind of being able to skip the first game of the playoff on October 6th again was massive. The kind of as we've shown, to have 2 international games in a week is very, very difficult. And then to obviously, you're going to have to do so much external work of your potential, the potential team you may play. So I think it's, for us, it was really big. And it was one of those things where, we'd kind of achieved our goal, get into the playoff. And then, so kind of approaching the game, it was like, what, we don't have too much to lose, but we have so much to gain from that situation. We'd still knew that we'd put ourselves in such a great position. So just to kind of get that extra boost, one last game, concentrate on, one of the teams, have a really good build up, have plenty of time together. And that's something that's pivotal in international football. We had 3 days, basically 3 days, 2 to 3 days to build up to that Finland game. Potentially the biggest game of our careers. And that's international football. So many teams have to do it, but yeah, it doesn't make it any easier. So kind of to get that, we were more just excited of what could be. And obviously you can look at the game, yes, potential nervy moments, but again, you'd have to do so much problem solving when you're on the pitch at the time. And that's kind of something that can happen. And I think, the week was a draining one as well, kind of emotionally, physically. So for us, I think, for me, there was no stage that we were going to lose that game, but I know moments, maybe you guys did watching it, but on the pitch, we knew we weren't going to lose it. But listen, you want to take more control of those games, and that's something we have to learn and pick up really quick.
I've got one moment for you, Louise. Towards the very end of the game, the Slovakian forward is running right behind you for a ball, and she just cuts her line and comes across you, and the two of you tangle legs. I'd say it was nearly a heart in the mouth moment, because it was right on the edge of the box late in the game.
Yeah, but I was like, that's a free kick. She ran into me. This got said to me after the game, and that was, I don't know, someone was saying it could have been very damaging, and I was like, what are they on about? I have no idea. She, as far as I'm aware, she literally ran into the back of me, and I just went clattering to the ground. I had no idea what was going on, because I wasn't even trying to, shepherd her. I was like, there's the ball, rolling to Courtney, love of courts, pick it up, happy days. And then I get taken out of it from behind. That was my perception. And I tell you now, if I was trying to block her off, or if I was trying to do something, I had no idea she was there. She just came steamrolling through me, as far as I'm aware.
She never left a foul in her life, Louise Quinn. Louise, obviously, we know each other a good while. We probably were involved with teams together before you even got your first cap a couple of years ago now. What's it like now compared to then? I know we're on the verge of a major championship qualification. We weren't a million miles away from that at times during your early years as well with the squad. But what's the difference between the two at the moment? Is it chalk and cheese, or is it really just the same thing, only just a little bit more experienced?
Obviously some things I feel are definitely chalk and cheese. Even to me, obviously playing for a lot of years now, some of the quality of players that I played with back then, unbelievable. And if again, so many, and even at that stage, a lot of them in a professional setup, a lot at Arsenal, a good few abroad, a couple in America. So again, kind of had some of that real experience, but for me, essentially, it's obviously playing at, again now, a completely different pace. Irish players want to bring up the quality and the speed of their play with full time training. Is literally unbeatable. But also for me, it's the backing of the association, to kind of show that they have their confidence in us now, and we're not just a team that they think that had to be there because other teams had it. It was just a tick box of having a women's team, and not having that support, not having what was looking like any progression, any investment, either for home players, or even to have that kind of that push to go abroad, and we really had to take it into our own hands. And so that's something as well, and you can feel that, to even have proper communication with the higher ups in the FAI now. It is something that's massive, and when you have someone who feels like they're backing you, you always have pride in playing for your country, but when you know that there's the support there, to make sure that we're tip top when we go into international camp, is huge.
How big was that strike? I know nobody likes talking about it, but how big was that decision to go on strike? That 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. Can't quite remember what year it was, but to take that action and say, no, we want to be taken seriously, we want to be treated equally. Is that the catalyst, or was it all heading that direction anyway?
Yeah, so that was 2017. Never forget it. That was one of the biggest moments of our kind of international careers as well. To be honest, that was probably one of the biggest and best. And that was something again that had started, a few years previous, again, of so many players that are thankfully still in the squad, and then some that aren't playing anymore. But that was those chats for us started happening the few years previous, and the likes of your Emma Byrne, she gets mentioned every time. Anya O'Gorman, who's still in the squad. There's so many there that also kind of pushed us on, and we would have got a chat from Emma and Yvonne's and so many of the girls that were in the squad back then to say, listen, this isn't for us, this is for yous. And that kind of sticks with you, that you have to kind of keep wanting to push on. At times it felt like your international career was at risk doing it, but we knew that we were all sticking together. We wanted to do it, we wanted to change, and that was kind of it for me. There was you were hoping, you were scared that there was going to be a different outcome and maybe a backlash from even from the outside of just be proud to play for your country. And that's you get told that's a given. That's a you don't need to tell us twice to have that pride of just playing for your country. But it's then making sure that we're given the best to be at our best for our country, and that wasn't given to us and given to so many players a few years ago. So it was it was something then that if it was obviously to go to the to the media, it was going to be questioned. So in hindsight, there was hopefully not going to be any sort of bad outcome, but I think everything that's happened since then and everything sponsors that have come on board have shown that they believe in us and they back us, and we have the talent, and and then the players have put it up to themselves to be in their best shape possible. And that's even still players based in Ireland. They do everything to make sure that they're up to the levels of when we go into international camp, and it shows straight away. Anya O'Gorman is still the fittest in the squad as far as I'm aware. There's still another 10 years left in her, so it's for me it's how the players have taken it on as well, and taken so much self responsibility to make sure that they're at their best.
Louise, you talk about leaving how the previous players wanted to leave the jersey and leave the thing. What would it mean for the next generation for Ireland to qualify for a major tournament?
It's that I think that means a lot to all of us. It means something that you've hope you've made a mark on the game, not even necessarily on the pitch but off it as well. You want to have that kind of effect, that you're making sure that it's left in the right place. And then the kind of same talks that we would have got off the girls, a little stern word to be like, keep this going, don't let it drop, make sure that for the players to come after that again, that they can keep this going, because the last thing we want is standards to drop, and the quality of facilities and parity to the men's team. We can't let that drop. It's pivotal for us to kind of keep that going and keep asking questions and knocking on the door. And that's something as well that we can do some of that talking on the pitch, and I think we are doing that now.
Obviously, at club level, we play in England with Birmingham City. There's like a little mini Irish enclave in that squad, though. I think there's 5 of you in the squad at the moment. Like Harriet, Lucy, Jamie, and somebody else who springs to mind. And around, of course. So it must be kind of like a home away from home. What's the atmosphere like there in the club at the moment?
Yeah, it's really, really good. Obviously we had a tough season last year and got relegated, but for me again, it was something where the squad was still actually really together, and it's very tough to lose a lot of games like that. But again, for me, the squad, the coaching staff we had there going into the end of the season was excellent, and they totally believed in us. And it was, you know, it kind of, you get to that stage where, you know, everyone is given their 100%, and things definitely didn't go our way, even potentially on the pitch, with decisions and referees in some of the biggest games that we had, you know, bottom of the table kind of clashes and stuff. And so to have your, you know, your Irish teammates there, and you know, even at the few days after we got back from camp, we just had a little five-a-side tournament, and we were Team Ireland, literally 5 of us, and we won almost every game apart from the last game, but we absolutely smashed the rest of them out of the park. But we were just, you know, I don't know, I've never seen us train so well either. I was like, this is the best training session I've had for Birmingham ever. So no, we're just excited, and just, do you know what I mean? It's something where it's great to have that connection with, you know, with everyone, you know, and that be it then that can transfer into the national team as well.
Who puts the gloves on for the five-a-side?
Oh yeah, no, thankfully we have like 3 or 4 keepers, so no one was in nets, but it would be Louise Quinn, obviously.
Before we let you go, Louise, obviously you just played at the start of the league. Will we see you back in maybe a Peamount jersey? I'm guessing it's only going to be Peamount, knowing you from back in the day. Will that be something that we might see in a similar way we saw Steph come back for a couple of seasons? Will you finish your career here or there, or have you even thought about it? Has life moved on?
Yeah, I haven't overly thought about it, but obviously then having Ellie here, you know, she's keeping everything up to date. You know, I always kind of keep up to date on the National League anyway, and then obviously having Jamie Finn, who's a big Shells head, so, you know, there's always a lot of competition in the changing room as well, where we kind of turn on each other a little bit at times. Healthy competition, but listen, it hasn't something I've been overly thought about, but it would, it would cross your mind to obviously go back to where it all began, and yeah, you know, hopefully for me, it's Peamount that would be that team, So, but yeah, we won't think about that yet. I'm happy enough over here now.
Listen, on that note, Louise, I think we'll let you go. Thanks so much for giving us a bit longer than we had planned, but thank you so much for being so generous with your time. As ever, a pleasure to chat to you. Best of luck for the season ahead. I know you're third in the table in Birmingham at the moment, 4 points from the first 2 games. No games at the moment because of obviously the passing of Queen Elizabeth, but I'm sure once you get back on the pitch, we'll see better things from Birmingham this season. So best of luck with all of that.
Lovely. Thanks so much, guys.